Okay, so let's get right into it. August 1945. This moment didn't just end a war, it unleashed the power of science in a way that completely changed warfare forever.
It really was a turning point. For the very first time, we as humans had figured out how to destroy an entire city with just one single weapon.
So today we're going to get into the details, the science, the mission, and the consequences of what happened.
Exactly. We want you to understand the real scale of these events,
And to get there, we have to start with this secret project, the Manhattan Project.
which was this massive top-secret effort by the United States during World War II to build this new kind of weapon.
It wasn't just a couple of scientists in a lab, though, was it?
Oh, not at all. This was huge. It involved over 130,000 people working in hidden labs and factories all across the country. We're talking billions of dollars.
And what were they all trying to do? The basic idea, I mean.
The basic idea was to harness the energy that's locked inside tiny, tiny atoms. They were trying to achieve something called nuclear fission.
Fission, that's splitting the atom, right?
That's it. You take the nucleus of a heavy element, like uranium, and you split it. When it splits, it releases a massive amount of heat and pressure.
And that split also releases other little particles that go on to split more atoms.
Precisely. It creates a chain reaction that happens almost instantly. And that's what creates the explosion.
They finally proved it could work in July 1945 in the desert in New Mexico.
Yeah, the Trinity test. That was the first successful atomic blast. When it went off, the scientists knew they had created something truly powerful.
So the military goal was to use this new weapon to end the war, to avoid having to do more ground battles.
Right. They believed it would force a quick surrender.
Which brings us to the first mission, August 6, 1945.
An American bomber, the Enola Gay, took off from an island in the Pacific. It flew really high, about 31,000 feet.
And that was for safety, for the crew.
Partly for safety, yeah, but it was also part of the plan for the drop.
The bomb itself was nicknamed Little Boy. It weighed almost 10,000 pounds.
And it was a uranium bomb. A single device. The target was Hiroshima.
Why Hiroshima?
It was an important industrial and military city for Japan. And the weather that morning was clear, which made it easy to target.
So at 8:15 in the morning, they dropped the bomb. But it doesn't actually hit the ground.
No, it doesn't. And this is a really key detail. It was designed to explode about 1,900 feet up in the air.
Why do that?
It was to maximize the damage from the shockwave. If it exploded on the ground, the Earth would absorb a lot of the energy.
But exploding in the air pushes that blast wave outwards, horizontally.
Exactly. It spreads the destruction over a much wider area.
So what happened in that first second?
The first thing was a giant flash of light, just blindingly bright. People miles away said it was brighter than the sun.
And right after the light came the heat.
An incredible wave of heat. We're talking thousands of degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt metal and stone near the center.
And then the blast wave, moving faster than the speed of sound.
Right. Almost every single building within a 1-mile radius was just gone, either flattened instantly or turned into dust.
Can we even measure a force like that?
We can try. The explosion was equal to about 15,000 tons of normal TNT explosive.
All from one bomb.
All from one bomb in one instant. And then, of course, that famous image, the giant mushroom cloud rising up into the sky.
The physical destruction is just... It's hard to imagine. But the human impact was even worse.
Thousands of people were killed instantly, just in a flash, from the heat, from buildings collapsing.
And for those who survived the initial blast, the injuries were horrific.
Terrible burns. The pressure wave caused severe damage to people's eyes and lungs, and the city's ability to respond. It was gone.
The hospitals were destroyed.
Most of them, yes. And most of the doctors and nurses were either killed or badly injured themselves, so there was almost no medical help available.
Some chaos and fire.
A truly desperate situation.
But even after all that, Japan didn't surrender immediately.
No. So American leaders decided they needed to use a second bomb to force the issue.
To show that Hiroshima wasn't a one-off, that they had more.
That they had an arsenal, so they prepared the second bomb. This one was different, though. This was Fat Man.
Right. You used plutonium instead of uranium, and it was actually more powerful.
The plan was to target another city, Kokura, but there was a problem.
Yeah, the weather was bad. It was too cloudy over Kokura that day.
So the bomber flew to the secondary target.
Nagasaki.
And the second attack came on August 9th, just 3 days later.
A little after 11 in the morning, they dropped the bomb on Nagasaki.
Now, Nagasaki's landscape is different from Hiroshima's, isn't it? It's hilly.
It is. It's built in a series of valleys, which actually contain some of the blast. The destruction wasn't quite as widespread as in Hiroshima.
But in the valley where the bomb hit?
Oh, in the center of the blast, The destruction was total. Factories, homes, everything was flattened.
And this bomb was even stronger. About 40,000 people died instantly.
Yes. The mushroom cloud from Nagasaki rose over 40,000 feet.
But the blast and the heat,
Yeah.
that wasn't the only danger, was it? There was something else left behind. An invisible poison.
Radiation. This is maybe the most terrifying part of the story. And it started with something people called black rain.
That's right. After the explosions, this strange, oily black rain started to fall. It was full of radioactive dust and ash that had been sucked up into the mushroom cloud.
And people were drinking it.
They were desperate for water because of all the fires. They had no idea it was poison.
So what does this radiation do to a person?
It's an invisible danger. It attacks your body on a cellular level. Symptoms started appearing soon after. Extreme tiredness, high fevers, hair loss.
And strange spots on the skin.
Yes, that was a sign that the body's ability to create new blood cells was failing. It was a slow, terrible sickness for those who survived the initial blast.
So after these two attacks, this new horrifying weapon, the war finally ended.
It did. 6 days after the Nagasaki bomb, the Emperor of Japan announced the surrender on the radio. It was the first time most Japanese people had ever heard his voice.
And the formal surrender was signed on September 2nd, 1945. World War II was officially over.
And these bombs were a huge reason for that sudden end.
But for the survivors, the struggle was just beginning. They became known as the hibakusha.
Which means explosion-affected people. And their health problems continued for years, for decades.
It's cancer?
Yes, much higher rates of leukemia and other cancers. The radiation had damaged their cells, their DNA.
And it didn't just affect them, it affected the next generation.
Tragically, yes. Babies who were in the womb at the time were sometimes born with disabilities. It showed how long-lasting this damage could be.
But in all of that destruction, there was a little bit of hope, wasn't there?
There was. At first, many believed nothing would ever grow in that soil again.
But it did.
Within months, green plants started sprouting up through the ruins. It was a sign that life could return, that the cities could be rebuilt.
And they were. Both Hiroshima and Nagasaki were completely rebuilt. But they didn't forget what happened.
No, they made sure no one would forget. In Hiroshima, they preserved the shell of one building, now known as the Atomic Bomb Dome, as a permanent reminder.
And both cities have peace memorial parks.
They do. In Hiroshima, there's a peace flame that has a promise attached to it. It will stay lit until every single nuclear weapon on Earth is gone.
A powerful symbol.
And it brings us to the global impact. These bombings started a new era. The Cold War, the nuclear arms race between the U.S. and the Soviet Union.
Suddenly, the world was living under the threat of weapons thousands of times more powerful than the ones used on Japan.
It completely changed how countries dealt with each other. It created this huge global effort to try and control the spread of these dangerous weapons.
So really, the story of these bombings is a powerful lesson about technology and responsibility.
It absolutely is. The events of 1945 showed the world the incredible power that's locked inside the atom, a power that forces us to think very, very carefully about how we use it.
Understanding this piece of history is so important for understanding the world we live in today. See you next time.